Okay, boys and girls, so our Zoom meetings were not going so great because we have not the best video connection. So I've decided that I'm going to go back and review the previous day's lessons on a video. I would love for you guys to watch this before our Zoom meeting, and that way, if you have questions, you can ask them during the meeting. I'm going to be asking you some questions throughout to see if you actually watched this video and if you were paying attention. So let's start with the first thing that would have been on our agenda, and that is math bait. So this was your math bait from yesterday. You had a square that was broken up into 4 pieces. And then you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 music notes, and 4 of them were circled. So the first thing that you're asked is to label the fractions. So this fraction here is 1/4 because you have 4 equal pieces with 1 shaded, okay? This fraction here is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 4/8. So number 1 on your math bait, you should have written 1/4 and 4/8. Those are going to be your 2 fractions that you're working with today, okay? So the next thing that you're asked to do is to tell me 3 things about each fraction. So let's just look at this first one here, and I've looked through some of your all's work already, and these are some of the things that I saw, okay? So, one person said that there was 1 piece shaded. So 1 piece shaded. Okay. Another person had said that there are 3 pieces not shaded. 3 pieces not shaded. And then I'm just going to add one here that I already know about this one. So anytime you have a piece that's broken up into 4, it's broken up into quarters. So this is a quarter, a quarter, a quarter, and a quarter. 1/4 is another name for a quarter. So we could say 1/4 shaded. Okay. And then over here, some things that we could say is that we have 8 music notes in all. Okay. And then number 2, we could say that 4 of those music notes were circled. Now, one other thing that I know about this is that 4/8 is equivalent to 1/2 because half of the notes are shaded. Okay, so that's the first part of your math bait that you were supposed to do. Then you were supposed to compare those fractions and tell us what's the same and what's different about these fractions. So on your paper, you have squares that look like this, right? Okay, so this would be our 1/4, our 4/8, and this would be the same. Okay, so you could have said that this one has a denominator of 4. This one has a denominator that's 8. Okay, something that's the same. They're broken up into equal pieces, right? Okay, this one has a numerator of 1. And this one has a numerator of 4. Okay, something that else that you could have said that is the same is that both of their denominators are even. Okay, because 4 and 8 are even numbers. Okay, so that's something else that you could have said. So there's 2 things that you could have put in each one of those, okay? The last thing that you were supposed to do, where you were supposed to come up with some fractions that are greater than and less than. This is where it's going to come in really handy for you to draw a picture, okay? So I always want you to use the fractions that we're working with. So 1/4, if you could show me something that is less than 1/4, and then show me something that is greater than 1/4, okay? So if I'm thinking about 1/4, I like to do my chocolate bars. I'm gonna cut those up into 4 pieces, so I need 3 marks, right? This is 1/4. Something that could be less than 1/4 is, remember, the more cuts you have, the smaller your pieces are going to be. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do 6. 6 pieces. So 1/4 is going to be greater than 1/6. That's for sure. Now, something that 1/4 might be less than, remember, the smaller your number, the bigger your pieces. So if I broke this up into 3 pieces instead, 1/4 is going to be less than 1/3. Okay? And then let's do the same thing with 4/8. Okay? So I want something to be smaller than 4/8 and something to be greater than 4/8. So if I have 4/8 here and I want my 4/8 to be the bigger, I have to have 8 pieces, so I need 7 marks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and this is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I could break this one up now into 9ths and show 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's 9ths, and I could just do 1/9, right? So 4/8 is going to be definitely more than 1/9. Or, now if I want 4/8 to be the smaller number, I'm going to make less cuts. So I'm going to break this one up into 4ths. 1, 2, 3. And then I can say that 4/8 is smaller than 3/4. Okay? Pictures help, guys. Really use your pictures as much as you possibly can. Okay. So that would have been number 1 on our agenda. Would have been our math bait. Okay, so now the second thing I want to talk about is your poem, Where the Sidewalk Ends. So I'm going to kind of swivel you around here, and we're going to look at the computer for a second. I want to, okay. Let me get you over here where you can really see the computer. Whoops, sorry. Okay. So on your Google Classroom, if you come up and you go to classwork, go here, and then let's go to Where the Sidewalk Ends. Okay. So on this one, you were supposed to, you could have listened to, or you could have read Where the Sidewalk Ends. I'm going to read it to you. And then we're going to talk about the questions that go with it. Okay, I'm going to use my whiteboard during the question part. Let me let this just pop up. Okay. I love Shel Silverstein. He's so funny and his poems are awesome. So if you guys ever look up, there's a book called Where the Sidewalk Ends and it's got a bunch of really funny poems in it. Okay, so the poem goes, where the sidewalk ends. There is a place where the sidewalk ends and before the street begins. And there the grass grows soft and white, and there the sun burns crimson bright. And there the moonbird rests from his flight to cool in the peppermint wind. Let us leave this place where the smoke blows black and the dark street winds and bends. Past the pits where the asphalt flowers grow, we shall walk with a walk that is measured and slow, and watch where the chalk white arrows go to the place where the sidewalk ends. Yes, we'll walk with a walk that is measured and slow, and we'll go where the chalk white arrows go. And for the children, they mark, and the children, they know the place where the sidewalk ends. All right, after you listened to that, you were supposed to answer some questions about some figurative language that was in this story, okay, or in this poem. So I just want to go back over that and make sure that you guys understand what they were asking you and what it was about. So the first thing it says is, how does the author feel about where the sidewalk ends? Well, if we go back and we look at our poem, it says, there is a place where the sidewalk ends and before the street begins. And there the grass grows soft and white. And there the sun burns crimson bright. And there the moonbird rests from his flight to cool in the peppermint wind. Okay, all of that stuff makes me think that he really is enjoying where the sidewalk ends. I mean, if the grass is soft and white, and that's where a bird might rest, and the sun burns crimson bright, and the wind is cool like peppermint, all of those things are figurative language for someplace that's enjoyable, that's nice, calm. People actually will rub peppermint oil on them, on their foreheads and on their temples to calm themselves. So when I go back up here, how does the author feel about where the sidewalk ends? The author, I would put, whoops, hold on, I'm in the wrong spot. He likes where the sidewalk, walk ends and feels like it is a calm and happy place. Okay, that's what I get from that. When I read that poem, I think he really likes where the sidewalk ends. Okay, so the next part says, what does where the sun burns crimson bright mean? Does it mean A, the sun burns crimson colored things? Does it mean B, the sun is not very bright? Does it mean the sun is bright and red? Or does it mean D, this is not out? Okay, the sun is not out. I think that's what that's supposed to say. So actually, if you look up the word crimson, crimson is another word for the color red. So C would have been your best answer here, okay? All right, then the next part says, why does the author use the term peppermint wind? The wind is cool like how peppermint feels in your mouth, or the air is red and white like a peppermint. The air smells like a peppermint, or the air tastes sweet like a peppermint. So I'm going to say A, and the reason I feel like it's A is because if you go back and look at your poem, he says that it says where the moonbird rests from its flight to cool in the peppermint wind. So if the bird is resting there and the bird's trying to cool himself, then I think it's this first one. Now, number 4 asks, what clue gives you that? And then I'm going to say B. The author said the moonbird cools off here. So B would be my answer. All right. Now, number 5, if you scroll on down, says, think about these lines from the poem. The author says the place before the sidewalk ends is where the smoke blows black and dark streets winds and bends. The author says the place where the sidewalk ends is where the grass grows soft and white and the sun burns crimson bright, where the chalk white arrows go for the children they mark and the children they know, where the place where the sidewalk ends. So down here you were kind of supposed to answer 2 questions. How do you think the author feels about where the sidewalk ends before it ends? And then how do you think the author thinks that children feel about the place where the sidewalk ends? So I'm going to say that the author thinks the place where before the sidewalk ends. Okay, so the place before the sidewalk ends is not a happy place. Okay, and then it says, why might the author think that children know where the sidewalk ends? I think that he thinks that children know where the sidewalk ends because the where the sidewalk ends is a happy place. And for the most part, kids are super happy. They're happy. They can use their imagination. They like to laugh and be silly. So I think the place where the sidewalk ends is a fun, happy, silly place. So I'm going to say, I think the author thinks the kids know about where the sidewalk ends because it's a fun, happy place, and kids are usually fun and happy. Okay. And then it says, what clues make you think this? Well, the place before is dark, and what else does he say? He says it's dark and it's black. Dark, black, and smoky. Right? After is calm, nice, and happy. And he already says that in his thing. Okay. So I hope that helps you to better understand what you were supposed to do on that part of your work. Okay, so the next thing that I want to go over are your shapes. I'm going to pull that up on Classroom, and we're going to just kind of go over that one as well. We do a couple of the boom cards from earlier too. Okay, so 2D and 3D shapes. For the most part, everybody got almost all the answers right. Some of you guys had troubles with the pyramids and the 3D shapes. So we want to look at that. Just make sure that everybody understands it and how to go over them. It's taken a minute for it to load. Okay. So on this part, Of course, this is a circle. So you should have come over here and written a C, circle, right? Okay, I'm just gonna go through and name these, and I'm not gonna type on them, but that one should have been B, a square. This one should have been D, a pentagon. A pentagon has 5 sides, okay? 4 should have been a rectangle. Okay, 5 should have been A, a triangle. 6 should have been B, a trapezoid. 7 should have been a hexagon, A. And then 8 should have been an octagon, has 8 sides. So now this one wants to know how many sides does this shape have. So this is where you needed to count your straight lines. You should have said 5. This one wants to know how many vertices. That means corners. So you should have said 4 for that one. This one wants to know how many angles, which is also corners. So 4 for that one. This one wants to know how many sides. So 6, a hexagon has 6 sides. How many vertices does this shape have? 0. Circles don't have vertices. They don't have corners. How many angles does this one have? 3. This one wants to know how many sides does this one have? You should have said 8 because an octagon has 8 sides. This one wants to know how many vertices, corners, that's 4. All right, naming this shape, that's a cube. You should have put B for that one. This one is a square pyramid because the bottom is a square, but when you pull those lines up like that, it turns into a pyramid. So that one should have been A. This one is a cone, B. 20 is a rectangular prism. So because there's rectangles all around, it makes something called a rectangular prism, which is A. 21 should have been a sphere, D. Okay, 22 should have been a cylinder, C. 23 says, name this shape. Okay, this one is a triangular prism, guys, because they used a triangle to make the 3D shape. Name this shape. This one is called a pentagonal prism because they used a pentagon as the base and then they pull the lines up to make a pyramid. So pentagonal pyramid, sorry. This one wants to know how many faces does this shape have. So a face is a flat surface. So it has 1, 2. The rest of it is curved. Okay, this one wants to know how many vertices does this have. That means angles or corners. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then our top one is 6. So that one should have been 6. This one wants to know how many edges, so that's straight lines. So you have 4 straight lines that make up the bottom, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 that make up your pyramid. So 8 in all. How many faces does this have? It has 1 flat surface, which is the bottom of your cone. So 1 face. How many vertices does this have? None, 0, because it's a sphere. Okay, how many edges does this one have? Guys, this one has 12 edges because you only need to count 1 straight line 1 time. So it would have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay, how many faces does this one have? I believe, okay, so it's just the flat surfaces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and then the last one, how many vertices? So how many corners does this have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 for that one. All right. The last thing that I want to talk about is going to be in just a second. I do want to go over your pronouns and antecedents on the boom cards. See how you guys did on that. So, but here is my question to make sure that you've been paying attention throughout this video, because we're 25 minutes in. My question is, when we meet, I'm going to go over the idiom of the day. Every single one of you need to be ready to type in chat a sentence using the idiom. So the idiom this week, or yesterday, was catch 22. Okay, so catch 22 means that you're in a situation that no matter what you do, it's either going to be good or it's going to be bad. Okay, so like, have you ever played tic-tac-toe with somebody and the tic-tac-toe looks like this? So here's your catch 22, right? Okay, so you're here, your opponent's here, you're here, and you're here, okay? And then you put yours there. Now it's your turn to go. No matter where you put yours, you're gonna lose, right? Because the X can put one here and get it, or the X can put one here and get it, or the X can put one here and get it. So you're in a catch 22. You're not gonna win. There's no way to win. So when you're in a situation where there's no answer, there's no way out, that's called a catch 22. So my sentence might say, when I played tic-tac-toe with Reese, I was in a real catch 22 because he had me cornered, or even like if you're playing tag or something. So tomorrow when we do our Zoom, to make sure that you watch this video, the whole thing, you have to be able to write a sentence using catch 22 in the chat. So I'll be looking to see. So let's go to pronouns and antecedents on our boom cards. See if I can open. No, hold on. Okay. So this is what your boom cards look like, right? So it says choose the pronoun that agrees with its antecedent. So remember, the pronoun takes the place of a noun, right? So in this one, it's going to take the place of someone's name. So Kate asked me to bring blank favorite cookies to the party. Kate asked me to bring her favorite cookies, his favorite cookies, its favorite cookies are there. You should have picked her because that is the antecedent that's the pronoun for the antecedent Kate. Here's another one. Claire practiced blank clarinet last night. So we need to find the pronoun that's going to take the place of Claire. Claire is the antecedent. Claire practiced her clarinet last night. We'll go there. Okay? We'll do one more. The singers performed blank best. Okay, so my noun are the singers, and there's more than one. So her, his, or its is not going to work. It should be their. The singers performed their best. Okay, that's pretty cut and dry, I feel like. All right. So I feel like this might be better for you guys because you can actually hear me and I can go over all of the stuff. You can also pause it. So if you needed to go back and look at something and then unpause this. So I think we're going to do this every day from now on. So it's just easier for you guys and we don't have to worry about the video being glitchy. So when we do our Zoom meeting tomorrow, you will have already watched this. You will know the secret to putting in your idiom, because those other kids who didn't watch it, they won't know. And then any questions you have, we'll go over it during our Zoom chat at that time. Okay? All right. I'll see you tomorrow. Well, in a couple of hours maybe at 11. All right. Bye.